Hey, Sully, how are you?
Pretty good, man. How's everything?
Everything's okay, except for McGarry cutting into my time again.
Well, we'll take some of Tribble's time away from him and give it to you. How's that?
No, that's okay. That's all right.
Tell us about your game last night, Camden Catholic. Man, they're looking like one of the better teams in South Jersey.
Yeah, they really impressed me last night, and they're a young team. They've got some senior leaders and guys that score the touchdowns. Nazir Streeter, the kid by the name of Dupree, also had a real nice game for them. But they're a young team, and they're really impressive. They're very athletic, they're quick, and they swarm to the ball defensively. And they kind of, I don't want to say they put a pounding on Shawnee, but that game last night, 28-7, was very decisive, and I was very surprised. I think I don't know whether I expected more out of Shawnee, or maybe I just didn't realize how good maybe Camden Catholic is. And they really played exceptionally well. They had some big plays at times. They played very strong defensively. Tyler Romano, a senior linebacker, comes up with an interception in the closing seconds at halftime that, if Shawnee punches it in there, it's 14-7, and instead it's 14-0, and all momentum remains with the Irish. So, Nick Strom in his third year there has done a real nice job. He's continuing to build a program. He's not just a coach of a team, and I think things are looking up for Camden Catholic.
Yeah, they've really. Did you expect them to be one of the top 5 teams in South Jersey, or is this kind of a surprise the way they've been playing?
I figure them to be. Maybe I think when the rankings came out to start the year, I think we definitely had them in the top 10. But seeing them for the first time last night, they were, like I said, they were very impressive. And I think you look at the rankings each week and you kind of teeter with things and wonder where teams really fit in the mix. And I think at this point, if they're not a legitimate top 5 team, then they're probably 6th at the worst.
Kevin, how much heat do you get from fans about your rankings?
You would think more than what we usually do. We haven't really got much flack this year.
No?
I think no, not at all. I really think the top 2 teams in South Jersey, Timber Creek and St. Augustine, and some people have them 1-2 or 2-1. However you want to put it. I think those 2 teams have clearly separated themselves from the pack, and everybody knows that, I think, at this point in the season. But you fill in the rest of the top 10, and then you kind of look for a 10 to 15 in the 20 range, and there's some teams coming in and out each week, but for the most part, I think we've been very consistent with our rankings. It's not done in 2 seconds. We take a look at how things are going, look around different things, and it's not easy, but I think on a week-to-week basis, we've been pretty consistent.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. Has the West Jersey Football League given you guys a little bit more information about how good certain teams are because of the way the schedules are laid out? I mean, I think in my mind, it really gives you a nice gauge of how good a team is because they're playing pretty much competitive games almost every week. You're not seeing a lot of like we would see in years past where a Group 5 is playing a Group 2 and they would just rout them 56-0 and it's kind of a throwaway week. You're not seeing too much of that this year. So does it give you a better sense of where a team's at?
Yeah, I really think it does, and we've talked about this before. Getting these crossover games against some better teams. Holy Spirit is a perfect example of that. Their crossover games are very, very difficult this year, and you're not going to have you don't have the teams on the schedule anymore that you routinely beat by 4, 5, 6 touchdowns and have a running clock. And we've had some blowouts, and I think you're going to have some blowouts here and there, but for the most part, a little bit more competitive games. You get a better gauge for a lot of teams. And maybe in the past, a team that may be 6-0 or 7-0, you might say, oh well, that they're a product of their schedule, and they've got some teams on there that obviously they they are in complete command over. But this year, I think it's a little bit different, and it's starting to show. Even through week 5, week 6 of the season.
Are you ready for the curveball yet?
What do you want to throw at me this week?
Well, something I've just been wondering about, and I'm sure a lot of fans are. How is the West Jersey Football League? What's their plans for the next couple of years? Like, how are the schedules going to be laid out? Is it going to be the same type of schedule for a couple of years, or are they going to see how teams do? Like, how are they? What's their plan going forward on how to make the crossover games each year?
That's not much of a curveball. I can hit this one out of the park.
As a hanging curve.
Obviously, I think at this point there is no more room for expansion. We've got all of South Jersey, in this the traditional South Jersey area. I don't think we're going to see anything from the Shore Conference coming to the West Jersey Football League. So you have your teams. Schedules are going to be done as they have been on a 2-year rotating basis. So
okay, gotcha.
I think next year's schedule will probably pretty much be the same. I'm not sure about the crossover games. I'm not sure whether they will remain the same or not. I'm guessing that maybe they will. But there is, I guess maybe there is a possibility of mixing up some crossover games if teams want that, and then it can be worked out. But, moving past as we get through this year and next year, if you look further down the line, they will continue to play, to set things up where teams will play. Schools, for the most part, no more than one group size bigger or smaller. And then when it comes to the crossovers, I think they'll take a look at some past history and maybe put a game in there or 2 games in there where that philosophy doesn't really hold the water. A perfect example being a team like a St. Joe, who may get a team that may be 2 group sizes above them, but simply based on the fact that the league feels as though they're competitive and can play a competitive game with a team like that. So schedule-wise, I think you're going to, obviously I think in the league, in the divisions, you'll see the same games, but maybe some changes in the crossovers. I'm not, I don't know the answer definitively to that, but they'll take a look at that and they'll set up some, competitive games. And I think moving forward, teams that want to continue to grow and improve as a program and be a South Jersey powerhouse are not going to have easy crossover games. They're going to have games against teams that have historically been, pretty good, and maybe over the past, 3 to 5 years have shown that they've developed some consistency. So, I think, like we said before, the West Jersey Football League, I'm a big proponent for it. I think it's done tremendously well. And obviously adding the Colonial and the Cape Atlantic this year, really opened the door for some very, very good football games.
So going forward, how much influence would a coach have, for instance, a guy like Tim Watson at Cedar Creek, he wants to play the best teams in non-divisional games. Do they take that into consideration at all? What a coach wants or what a program wants, what type of teams they want to go up against when they're not in division?
I can't answer that. I don't know the answer to that, but I would venture to say that if a coach wanted to express their opinion and tell the people, give those people that are the schedule makers, look, we welcome the opportunity to play X, Y, and Z. Mm. I think that I think they would definitely take that into consideration. And Ryan Wood at Pennsville wanted to play St. Joe this year, and there it is. It's on the schedule. So I think maybe you can influence the schedule makers to a degree as long as everything meshes. And I think that's something that they would take into advisement and use as a positive. You have coaches out there that want to establish themselves, and as long as it kind of fits into the mold of what the league's trying to do, I don't see why not. Why not put two teams that have over the past couple of years have been very, very good? Let a win or a loss for each team, probably won't hurt them in the long run. So let's have that matchup and let's have these competitive games.
I would think as a schedule maker, that's got to be an awesome thing to say, hey man, there's so many things you could tinker with. You could say, hey, like let's put St. Joe against Camden Catholic and get a bunch of fans out to these types of games. I mean, it's got to be fun as a schedule maker to see what kind of matchups when you have that many teams to choose from.
Yeah, I'm guessing that it may present a little bit of a headache, for the schedule guys to try to maybe accommodate everyone, or to try to reach out and maybe look for those marquee kind of games. But there are certain teams in South Jersey that we would love to see play. Right now, they're probably not gonna match up. But if people do a little thinking and they look at what's out there and they can see what's coming back next year on certain teams, there's some matchups out there that people would love to see, but probably won't. But going down the line, maybe we get to see some marquee games a little bit more often as well.
Talking with Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post. Kevin Cole and myself were talking during the break before you came on about Devin Leary from Timber Creek. I mean, this kid's putting up some video game numbers.
Devin Leary. If you haven't seen Devin Leary play, you got to go out and check him out, and then you will. I don't want to say he's overhyped, because I think he has clearly earned everything that's come to him. He's got 22 touchdown passes right now. His school record is 32 or 33, and that's in a 12-game season. He's only played 5 games now, and the South Jersey record is 43 by Manny Cortez from Pennsauken. And that's in a 12-game schedule. Devin Leary could throw 50 touchdown passes this year, I think, with ease.
Jeez.
If Timber Creek continues to run its offense the way it has, which obviously this year is pass heavy, that Devin Leary is going to set some records this year, and when his career is over, he's going to own quite a few South Jersey records, if not state records. And it's not. This kid's good. This kid throws a very tight spiral. He puts the ball where only his receivers can get it. Now, from time to time, he's going to make mistakes like everybody does. But for the most part, I haven't seen a quarterback as efficient as him in engineering a team and marching a team downfield and putting the ball where it needs to be in a long time. And, he's got some big-time offers, and he's going to get more. And, I don't want to put a label on Devin Leary, but Devin Leary's big-time. And he's the kind of kid that if you look at him and you hopefully see his progression continue, and you see him maybe add he gets another inch or two taller, and he puts on another 15 or 20 pounds of muscle. We're talking a 6'3", 6'4", 25-pound quarterback at the college level. He could be playing on Sundays in a few years.
Nice. Kevin, real quick before we let you go, who's really up against it next week? Got to have a win on the bubble to keep some playoff hopes alive. Anybody really jump out at you as saying, hey, this team really needs to pick up a win next week to stay alive?
Well, they won this week, and I think they're going to have to continue to win out. Just taking a quick glance at the PowerPoints a little while ago is Delsey. Right now, going into the weekend, Delsey was on the outside looking in, and you're looking at the 4-time defending South Jersey 3 champion right there. So I think if there's any team that kind of comes to my mind just like that, it's Delsey. They can't afford to have another loss.
Good stuff, Kevin. Appreciate you checking in. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, bud.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks. That was Kevin Minnick of the Courier-Post.